So even though I'm a cynic by nature and I couldn't be certain, I had every intention of uploading a video covering what I was fairly confident would be a disastrous third attempt by Jim Jordan to become the Speaker of the House. And then the attempt happened, and it was a disaster. But before I could upload a video, Republicans decided that Jim Jordan should drop out of the race. And Jim Jordan has dropped out of the race. And once again, House Republicans are going home for the weekend in defeat, heads hung in shame. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. I can't say that this is the end of the Schadenfreude arc in which you and I, in a mutual bonding experience, have basked in the incompetence and dysfunction that has embroiled the Republican Party, this morally bankrupt, authoritarian cult of personality with no limiting principle, no talent for, or even interest in responsible governing. But this does seem to be the end of Jim Jordan as a main character in that drama. So before we unpack the rest of it, I want to play you a clip. This is right after Jim Jordan, suffered his third defeat, but before Republicans decided to kick him out of the race. Okay, so this is in that sweet spot limbo space where he had no idea what was coming for him. This is what he had to say after that third vote.
Mr. Jordan, you lost more votes on this round. How much longer do you think you can keep this up?
You guys said we were going to lose 15 to 30.
Still, 25 is not a low number. Do you think you can keep this up?
We only lost a couple. We had a couple absence. It would have been for us.
Do you think you'll make up for this in conference?
We're going to try. I think so. And, we got conference here in like an hour.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was the answer to the question. How long do you think you can keep this up? He's like, I don't know, but we're going to try. Well, the answer to that question was an hour, because after Republicans met in conference, they voted to kick him out of the race. Jordan lost. Jim Jordan lost a secret ballot. He's no longer the speaker designate for the House GOP. In terms of what the ballot count was, it was 122 to 86. Only 86 people voted for him to keep running for speaker. An abject humiliation. Now, I want to remind everybody that Donald Trump openly endorsed Jim Jordan to be the Speaker of the House. So this continues the trend of Trump endorsements being absolutely toxic for the long-term survivability of the GOP. Okay, because of course, the only thing he cares about, Donald Trump, is whether or not you're sufficiently loyal and sycophantic to him. He doesn't, has no reflection of your political record, your skill, anything like that. Your endorsement is contingent on how loyal you are to him. Now, not only did Jim Jordan lose the ballot, House Republicans are going home for the weekend. The House will remain closed over the weekend. U.S. House is going home till Monday, per Representative Steve Scalise. They're nowhere. Now, this is worded as the U.S. House is going home, which is technically true, but this is exclusively the fault of the Republican Party. Democrats are there. Democrats are ready and willing and eager even to get to work. It's Republicans who can't appoint a speaker, and apparently Republicans won't, at least as of yet, enough of them won't defect to go to the Democrats and say, let's just get Hakeem Jeffries the gavel, let's make him speaker. They have yet to get to that point, so this is exclusively the fault of the Republican Party. Now, I want to play two clips here as well from Jake Tapper because they're hilarious. CNN's Jake Tapper, somebody who, as sometimes he bothers me, like especially when he interviews people like Nancy Mace and he helps give her the impression and helps like spread the notion that she's some sort of moderate, even though she's not. But when it comes to sass, Jake Tapper he's just 10 out of 10 every time. So this is what he had to say in these two clips after Jim Jordan lost the third vote, or as he was losing the third vote, but before he was kicked out of the race.
Again, he's just doing worse. The numbers are not there. Now, I recognize that Congressman Jordan is not somebody who necessarily respects election results, but this is just, again, turning into an ignominious defeat.
Well said, Jake. Of course, making a reference to the fact that Jim Jordan is an election denier. He supports Donald Trump's big lie, tried to help him steal the election, a free and fair and secure election from President Biden, the rightful winner, which actually helped create the conditions for Jim Jordan's defeat because people like Ken Buck, again, a far-right Republican, wouldn't vote for Jim Jordan because Jim Jordan is spreading lies about the 2020 election. So, irony. Here's another clip from Jake Tapper, and again, note the 10 out of 10 sass.
But Dan Abash, those are the two trends I'm discerning right now
Custer.
it's obviously not a landslide for McHenry, but a trend of votes for McHenry from the skeptics, and more votes against
Lahoud.
Jordan today, at least at this
Jordan.
point, with the caveat that things could change.
La Locha.
So,
Zeldin.
again, another bad day for Jim Jordan as he continues his strategy of the beatings will continue until morale improves.
It was a bad day for Jordan. Little did Jake Tapper know it was going to get considerably worse. And again, it is funny to note the masochism there. The beatings will continue until morale improves. So this is Jim Jordan. Finally, this is a clip from Jim Jordan, not only after that failed third attempt, but also after suffering the embarrassment of your own conference telling you, you're done, bro. Sit down, bro. This is Jim Jordan after the fact. Again, note his tone, note his posture, and bask in this man's misery.
I appreciated getting to work with everyone, talk with everyone. I got to know members in our conference that I didn't really know that well over the last 3 weeks, and that we need to come together and figure out who our speaker is going to be. I'm going to work as hard as I can to help that individual so that we can go help the American people. And I'm also going to go back to work. We got several depositions lined up next week in the Judiciary Committee, work that we need to do for the American people in our investigative work. So we'll go back to work there. But it's important we do unite. Let's figure out who that individual is, get behind him, and get to work for the American people. Thank you all very much.
I'm no body language expert, but you can just see the embarrassment and the shame and the humiliation and the sadness on this man's face, in his posture, in his tone. And I think it's great. It's hilarious. It's awesome. It's okay. In fact, I would actively encourage you all to take delight in a bad faith authoritarian cultist like Jim Jordan suffering this sort of humiliation. It's actually good for the country and good for democracy because it shows that, hey, not only will you will lose in such a way that if you have any sense of like self-worth or dignity, those things will suffer as a result of this. So, hey, maybe not be a bad faith authoritarian cultist, right? Ready and eager to overthrow democracy. Now, a couple of things I'll note. I think it's hilarious when he talks about, we're going to get back to work. Actually, literally, you didn't. Your party not only didn't elect a speaker, but you sent everybody home because you couldn't elect a speaker, which means you can't get back to work. Whereas the Democratic Biden White House is at work, and even the Democratic-led but bipartisan Senate is ready and willing to work. They can be like in session. They just can't do anything that requires a full congressional vote because of the House. It's you and your party, which are actually the only things not working as we head towards a government shutdown, as we have foreign crises with Russia invading Ukraine and the war between Israel and Hamas, all the things. This is on you. And then, of course, he actually clarifies what type of work he's ready to get back to. Because remember, he's the least effective legislator in Congress. He's not there to pass bills, he says. We've got depositions in the Judiciary Committee, presumably about Hunter Biden, right? Presumably about Joe Biden's dog Commander. But this is the crazy stuff that they're obsessed with, the culture war nonsense. They want to investigate the president's private son. They're scrambling for anything. They're so thirsty to impeach President Biden himself, even though, if you can remember as far back as like 3 weeks ago when they had that hearing, even like 2 out of 3 of their own witnesses were like, yeah, you guys got nothing so far. That's the kind of work Jim Jordan's talking about. This man is a disgrace. He's an indictment, a blemish on the Republican Party. I have no idea who they're going to choose next. They may choose, I don't think there's anybody worse than Jim Jordan. There are people on par with him, Marjorie Taylor Greene, perhaps, Lauren Boebert. I have no idea. But I think we have secured, just like I believe that we won, there was a victory secured when Kevin McCarthy suffered the consequences of his lies, his bad faith, his brinkmanship by being voted out. Same thing with Jim Jordan. I think no matter what comes of this next, the fact that Jim Jordan won't be speaker is good for the Democratic Party. It's good for America. It's actually good, ironically, for Jim Jordan's own constituents. It's good for everybody. So anyway, it's hilarious. We'll see what happens next week once the next season of this awful reality TV show drama, which has just detonated inside Washington, D.C., once it debuts the next season on Monday.